so that is why, because we have been friends a long time, and really, like I want to do the business with you, like the past.
I also thank you so much, Kagawa-san. Thank you so much.
And this is why. And the second one, I love your activity. Two activities. One which is cooking.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I did not have a chance to try your food yet, but I saw it from the Facebook.
Thank you.
It is more than professional looking.
It is a passion, Kagawa-san. I love food. That's why I express myself. It's like your passion is how to communicate with different cultures. My passion is cooking. My passion is food. I love food.
Do you know what?
I communicate with food.
Food is a part of the culture. So
Correct.
If you can explain like how to treat Indian people in a party, or like how to manage when we are invited by Indian people.
Correct. For example, Indian, you cannot offer sushi and sashimi to any Indian.
Wow. All right.
Indians can't eat raw food, raw fish. They don't know how to eat raw fish. And Japanese sushi and sashimi, for them it is a must, right? That's a part of their culture. But if you take a sushi and give to an Indian, he will not be able to eat. He will not eat. He will find it offensive.
And also, as you know, that Singapore and India is so different to each other.
Correct. Singapore, okay. Singaporeans can eat sushi and sashimi.
How is the regulation right now? How is the regulation right now about still Japanese cannot enter into Singapore because of COVID-19?
No. I think Japan. I'll check. Japan, I'm sure you don't have a problem because you're a low-risk country. But you can. Indian people cannot enter. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal cannot enter.
Would you please?
But check? Japan, I'm not. I'll check.
Yeah, if there are no quarantine, all I need is test result.
I'll check for you.
Thank you. Then I can fly to you and talk more.
Yes.
And secondly,
definitely. Or I can also, if Japan is okay, even I can fly and see you. That's not a problem for me.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Exactly. Okay. Now, also another thing, which I really respect you, which is your activity to helping the people from Tamil Nadu.
Thank you.
You are still working
I do not actively work anymore because I don't have time, because I'm driving Grab now. But I always, people ask me, I always help them. So on projects, I do that. I'm not full-time involved with that. But if somebody asks me to cook for 100 people, 1,000 people, for migrant workers, I go and volunteer myself for that.
Wow. I tell you one thing, because you mentioned one time, in a really long time ago, you came to Singapore with only $13. And
yes,
you develop your life.
One plastic bag, 2 clothes, 2 underwear. That's it. So the job, the HR person gave me $1,500 in the airport. I didn't even have money in the airport.
How did I want to know your survival story, and how did you successfully working, develop your career, and now you are quite stable in Singapore, which is one of the richest country in the world.
No, Kagawa-san, it was very simple. I was from very young age, I was very curious about other cultures. I grew up reading Tintin, Asterix comics, and I used to read a lot of comics. Then I used to watch this television series, and Star Trek was one of the series, and I watched as a child in a TV, black and white TV. There was no TV those days, black and white television. And all my English and language skills I learned watching movies, the Hollywood movies. And though I was in English language school, but I could not speak English as comfortably in those days than I am now. But I used to watch a lot of movies, I used to read a lot. So Singapore gave me the opportunity. But when I came here, it was a shock. It was a shock for me. Everything, the food, I could not eat food. Because here people are eating with chopsticks, noodles. We don't eat noodles in our life. I've never eaten noodle in my life. It was here everybody was eating noodles. So I took a lot of effort and pain to understand the Chinese culture. So I learned how to eat chopsticks. Though I didn't like to eat noodles, I trained myself how to eat noodles. Then I was lucky, I had my Japanese client. That's why I learned a lot of Japan from him. I was put in the international customer service division. So I used to deal with the Japanese, I used to deal with the Americans, I used to deal with the English. So Economist was my client, and News was my client, and Wabe-san was my client from Japan. There was a guy from Hong Kong, Lamtang was my client. So I used to deal with multiple cultures in a small environment. And suddenly, I used to read a lot. So those days I was working in the printing press, so I used to read from the floor. Whatever I could catch from instead of talking to and doing others, I used to just read. And that, so I read from the floor, Kagawa-san, like printing floor, right? You take the thing and you read. And that's how I learned. And then I should talk to people like you, my clients. And slowly, God gave me opportunity. My customer economist hired me. And then because of that, I met all of you. I met you and I met so many people around the world.
Yeah. You know what? So when you came to Singapore for the first time, you learned the language first and then started a really basic job to start of the printing and then gradually developing your career and then study more
with
other people.
Correct.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
All the ordinary cases, people go to the MBA or something like this to be a upper rank manager. But your case is more like doing the effort again and again.
Yes. Life. Yes. Apprentice like life. Kagawa-san, in Japan, I remember in cooking, an analogy of food in your culture. One day when I was in Tokyo, I asked the Japanese chef, can you please help me? I want to see a knife. The Japanese chef was very offended. He said, no, you cannot touch my knife. I didn't understand then, but then later I understand. To hold a knife, the Japanese chef must take 8 to 9 years. He has to clean the vegetables. He does lot of menial things till all his ego is dissolved. Then he gets the right to become a sushi chef. Then he starts making sushi. My life is like the sushi chef, Kagawa-san. I cleaned everything.
Interesting. I like it very much. Because give me the suggestion because my friend who is young, he is Japanese, and he is actually now living in Malaysia because he, after learning English, he found out a job over there. Now he's talking about how to go to MBA to get more salary. And your career is totally different. Career path is totally different. But if he wants to be more like a global person, are there any suggestions?
So I would recommend is he should not be working in a Japanese company. He should work.
He's working at an international company.
Company. Then Japanese. If he's a Japanese and he's working in a Japanese company, then yes. If he's working in only a Japanese company, the Japanese culture, he will be steeped. He'll follow the same traditions and same cultures. So to work in a global environment, either he has to be exposed to. He has to work in an American or an European or an English company where he has some other cultures that he can mix. Only he will be able to he will be able to manage global relationships. Otherwise, if he works, you see, because I am Indian, he is Japanese. That doesn't change. We are inherently, our culture, our seed is the same. When you are two different person, we cannot behave like I am an Indian and I am Japanese. I have to become a part of him. If I'm talking to an Englishman, I have to think like an Englishman. I have to talk to him in that language. I have to talk to him I have to put myself in his shoes and think like him. That is the only way I can communicate. And once you communicate, then only business is done. By doing degree, MBA, NCR, that business is not. That will give you a paper. That will give you just a feel good. But the the real training comes from, correct. Like what you do, Kagawa-san, you do the same thing. See, I see you talking to so many people around the world. And you're making an effort to speak. Sometimes it's your time. You're spending a lot of time on all these things to understand what is happening. And that's how one day I'm sure people will give business to you because of this effort that you've done. And that's what he has to do.
But this is a great comment because I want to do one thing. Let's have this lecture from you through Zoom again, near future, maybe within 2 weeks, okay? And I will upload to the YouTube by promoting your experience and your suggestion to the Japanese people.
No problem.
Then what happens is, what I can do is, I will sell that kind of things to Japanese corporation to find out client how to work with India, how to develop their career internationally.
Correct. Yeah. No problem, sir. No problem.
Do you agree?
Yes, definitely. I think, Kagawa-san, in philosophy terms, there was, I don't know whether you just Google, there's a guy called Osho Rajneesh. He used to say that Buddhism was born in India. It grew in China, but it flowered as Zen in Japan. So you understand where the difference is. So it is, though Japanese and Indian cultures are different, but they are the outcome. So Buddhism came from India. It grew in Japan, but as Zen, it really blossomed in Japan.
Of course, there are big connection culturally.
Culturally, it's just how do we, it is because Zen and the original Buddhism is totally different. If you look at the original Buddhism that is followed now and what is being followed as Zen in Japan, it's totally different. It's changed, but the roots are the same. If you dig in underneath, the roots are the same, and just this connection is this connection. Once this connection is achieved, it will happen like you and me. See, you and me now, we are knowing for how many years? I think I know you for more than 15 years now, maybe more.
Yeah, we have been a friend, the closest friend for more than 15 years. I can communicate you casually. We can talk about casually without any problem.
Correct. Without any problem. Exactly. And that happens. And once that happens, Kagawa-san, then business happens. Everything can happen. The first thing is people don't understand is this communication, this trust. How do you get this Japanese, this Malaysian colleague, friend of yours? He has to establish trust between a stranger who is an Indian, who is an Englishman, who is an American, who is a Malaysian, who is in Southeast Asian. And how can he establish that trust? He can only establish the trust by opening himself, by trusting himself first. He has to open up. Japanese don't open up so much like you, Kagawa-san. They are very closed. They are. It's not their fault. Basically, they want to be perfect. They don't want to offend anybody. They don't want to. They want to respect everybody. At the same time, they also want somebody to respect them. But that comes from both ways. You see, you have to laugh at yourself. Japanese don't laugh. They are very serious. Everything is.
The recommendation is open yourself, and also not only just working for Japanese corporation, work in an international company to get more connection and opportunity and communications.
Correct.
I see.
And yes, communication. Yeah, and if you, I'm not saying leave your job, but you can go and start. If you don't want to leave your job, go and work for free for an American company. Say, I'm Japanese, but I have so many skills. I want to understand your culture. I want to work. I want to volunteer for 4 hours or 2 hours of my week. At least that will help him exposure.
Okay. So talk to you later. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Okay,
We can work together. I'm really desperate to work with you.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.